तेरी कीर्ति, एक ओम काहे ध्यान, मुक्ति पथ दिखाए, साचा रूप साचा रंग मन में दिखाए, प्रकाशित हृदय में ईश्वर। ज्ञानियों के शुद्ध मनों में, साधकों के चिंतनों में, ज्ञानियों के शुद्ध मनों में, साधकों के चिंतनों में, मेरी आस मेरे श्वास तुझ में ही समाए, साचा रूप साचा रंग मन में दिखाए, प्रकाशित हृदय में ईश्वर।
भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We started the 14th chapter of Vedanta Treatise, which is meditation. And the first subtopic in it is the technique of meditation. So that's what we're doing right now. In the technique of meditation, the first thing which we understood was that a human being is a human being because they have an intellect. What differentiates us from other beings is that we have an intellect. And this is critical enough. If we do nothing to develop our intellect, we live like the lower beings. Lower not in the sense of we are passing a value judgment and saying, oh, look how great we are, but in the sense of beings who don't have a choice. They have to do whatever they're doing. So even amongst human beings, we tend to be like that, as if we are choiceless. Whenever we feel victimized, are we not choiceless? So behaving like a lower being means behaving like a person, like a being that does not experience choice. Now you can sit and argue and say, oh no, this does better and that does better. Okay, that's fine. Many of the animals do much better than us on various scales. But one thing they do not have is this capacity for choice. And we as human beings have it in a very strange way. Strange because you have the choice to use your choice, and you also have the choice to not use your choice, in the sense that you keep choosing by default. Almost all the time, all of us are choosing by default. And doing that is called
using your intellect.
By default? How can
Yeah.
default be intellect?
Mind.
Yes. Functioning on the mind, functioning on the past, functioning on how things have been. All of this is just a default choice. So you decided to wear a certain dress today. Why did you decide to wear that? It's a default choice. We're not saying default choices are bad. Okay, nobody's saying that. They're just examples of what a default choice could be. For an alcoholic, the default choice is
Drink.
Have a drink.
Drink alcohol.
yes.
For any reason, just have a drink.
That's a default choice. Now, to exert choice means to ask yourself the question, is this what I really want to do? That's a conscious choice. Default choice is जो चल रहा है वो ही चलेगा. I always react with anger, so I'm reacting with anger now. I always react kindly, so I'm reacting kindly now. I always wear saris, so I'm wearing saris now. I always wear t-shirts, so I'm wearing a t-shirt now. Default. It's going on because it went on. Sheetal, you have a question?
Yes, Janki ji. This means what you are explaining is that we are always on our auto mode and
That's
we
right.
don't use any intellect before.
That's
Okay, thank you.
So, auto mode. That's another word for it. Unconscious. That's another word for it. Unconscious doesn't mean you're in coma, but it means a kind of coma. Like it is continuing, whatever is there. Chalti ka naam gaadi it is. So, human being or a higher being is a person who's conscious of the fact that he has a choice. He's conscious of this. What are you saying, Mahesh? How is default choice different from likes and dislikes? Likes and dislikes is a wider term, but it's almost the same thing. It's functioning on your mind. It's various ways of functioning on your mind. One of those ways is by, just a sec. One of those ways is just doing whatever you feel like. It's almost like blind function. So you can say it's the same thing. It is not real choice. It's called functioning on the mind. You just do whatever you feel like, whatever has come from the past, whatever your whims and fancies are, same thing. It's going on automatic. If you're a particular kind of, you express in a particular way, you always express in that. You will not ask the question, in this situation, should I express in that manner? Nobody is saying you should not do your default things. But do you ask the question that for this situation, is this correct? Now, when you're capable of knowing that you have a choice at every point, suppose you say, I'm a pauper, I have no money, what can I do now? Do you realize you have a choice? Do you realize also that you're better off than some people? Suppose you're a pauper and you have no money. You're better off than?
Unhealthy people.
Okay,
got one else.
monetarily only, just monetarily. You're
A
better off.
pauper who's in debt.
You don't owe, you don't owe anybody money.
Yes. From person in debts, you're better off because you're a pauper. At every stage, right? You can always say, oh, I'm better than whatever. At every stage, you're better than someone. So, when you're able to expand your thinking a bit, this is called being human. Right? So, a human being is a human being because they have an intellect. A human being, also, like the rest of all creatures, has a mind. What is a mind? It is a flow of thoughts. It is those thoughts just flowing so constantly that you see a solidity of the world. In the Upanishad, they describe it Adesh. It's a Adesh. Adesh means the education for a lower category of students. The Upadesh, firstly, there is the Upanishadic knowledge itself, which is taught. Upadesh is when some advice is giving, some education is given. And Adesh is like for the lower category, like an instruction. Now, because it is the Upanishad, there is no instructions, but still it is called Adesh. What is an Adesh for Brahman in the Upanishad is, it is like the blinking of an eye. If you stop to think about it, it's a fabulous example. Do you realize that your vision of the world is constant, even though you are constantly blinking? So Brahman is like that. It's like even though the vision is interrupted, the thoughts are going on. Between each thought, there is Brahman. Even though you're passing Brahman between each thought, your vision of the world is complete. You never ever see Brahman, you only see the world. Just like when you blink, you never ever feel the world is gone. It's still there. Though there has been the blink, right? Okay, so Momita, when you blink, the world goes, right? I mean, you close your eyes, you can't see. You're blinking all the time. But you've never lost your vision of the world. So similarly, between two thoughts, you're always hitting Brahman. But you never see the Brahman, you never lost vision of the world. I'll show you. Where was that thing? Whiteboard. Okay, let me see if I can do this. New whiteboard. Can you all see what I'm doing? Can you see a whiteboard? Okay. So now let us see. Let us see if I can.
We see a loading. I see a loading screen.
You see a white screen, right? So let's see if I can do this. All this. Okay, so line. Here's a line. Okay, this is your experience. Now, oops, Mukesh, what are you doing? What are all your names are coming here? Why are all your names coming here? What is going on? I don't know.
They're jumping up and down to show you that our minds are also going here and there.
Okay. Chalo, bhai, let us continue with this line only now. All your names are coming. I don't know. Where is this free line over here? This is a free line pen. Okay, chalo. Pen. Oopsie. What on earth? Why doesn't anything work over here? Where is my Uttara? Uttara, can you draw on this thing?
Janki ji, I'll just get my pen. I was sitting without the pen. I'll just
Why do
get
you
it.
want a pen?
I have that device where I can use it and do it quickly.
Oh, okay.
That's the present we have to send Janvi.
I don't
I'll
know if
just
I have the screen to use a pen. Tell you everything in this world is very
I
complex.
can try in the meantime, Jati. What do you want me to do?
I want the wave that goes up and down from this line.
Like this?
Yeah, okay. Go down, go below the line.
Somebody else's voice.
That line has to cut the waves. Come down, come down. Ah, very good. Very excellent. Thank you. Okay, chalo. Now you all can all see this thing. Move this silly thing away from here. What is this line in the middle over here? Can you all remove it? Can anyone move this thing? That says 12AA and whatnot. Okay, I moved. Oops, that is gone. Okay, can you see these waves going up and down? All right, thank you. Now, just look at this wave as waves of thought. The wave rises, goes down, comes up again, goes down again, right? Every time it's going up and down, it's going through consciousness. It's going through Brahman, right? But you don't see that. Between each thought, there's a little gap where Brahman is, but you don't see that. And the next thought has come so quickly. He gave the example in the text of the frames in a movie. There is a blank space between the frames, but you never see that. You see the solidity of the movie. Is that clear, Mamita?
Yes, Janki, thank you.
All right, so now we have to remove the whiteboard. How do we remove it? Oh, it's gone. All right. So, is that clear? We are going through Brahman each time. I mean, we are going means the thought waves is going up and down from Brahman all the time. Between two thoughts is Brahman. Never know it. Just like you never know that you're blinking. All the time, between two thoughts is Brahman. Just as between two frames in the movie is that white spot, white whatever line. You never see it. So mind is nothing but this flow of thoughts. Ravi Chabra, you have a question?
Yeah. You said between two thoughts, the Brahman is there.
I can't hear you very well.
You had mentioned that between two thoughts, there's a Brahman.
Hmm.
So my question is that thoughts keep on jumping from A to B, B to C, a different thought. So where exactly Brahman fits in at which point?
Between
Because
them.
thoughts are continuous. They keep on, like our mind, our thought today is there, tomorrow maybe in some other city or other country for that matter. So where does the Brahman fit in? At which point?
The Brahman is everywhere, but you can locate it between two thoughts. Just as between the frames, there is that white. You remember in olden times, you used to have that photographs we used to take, and then we used to have that film. And then between two frames, there was an empty bit, right? So similarly, like that, between two of our thoughts is an empty bit. There, Brahman is pure consciousness is. When the thought is there, you have conditioned consciousness. But between the two thoughts is pure consciousness. But you will never get it like that. Once a sage was asked, where do I find Brahman? So he told him, look between two thoughts. But the thing is, you can't look between two thoughts in a movie. If I tell you look between two frames, how are you going to see it? It's not possible. It's not a sadhana. It's not something you're practicing. It's only an illustration to explain what is happening. Okay, right? Everybody's okay with this. How between two thoughts, Brahman exists. Pure consciousness is between the streams of consciousness. Every time the thought comes, it sort of goes, like that wave. The thought rises, the thought fades, another thought rises, another thought rises and fades, rises, fades. Between the rise of one thought, it's fading and another thought rising. There is pure consciousness. You're all looking at me a bit. Okay, right? So between two thoughts, between conditioned consciousness is pure consciousness. But you can't know it. Why not? The speed of thoughts is too fast. You cannot see the emptiness between the frames in a movie because that reel is moving too fast. When it moves fast, you don't see the emptiness between the frames. You see the solidity of what those frames are showing. So similarly in life, we do not see the pure consciousness between two thoughts. We see the solidity of whatever those thoughts are showing. This is what we did last time. Any questions up to this point?
So we cannot practice, we cannot really make an effort to see that between the thoughts, right?
No,
That's not possible.
not at all. How can you can't make an effort to look at the blank space between frames, right? It's there, but the movement is so fast. You're never going to know it like that.
So only when our thoughts diminish enough, or we have very few thoughts. But even then we cannot, we still have a thought.
You elongate it, so you begin to feel its presence. But you're never going to get to pure consciousness until you realize. But you begin to feel more and more of the qualities of pure consciousness, such as peace and bliss and beatitude and knowledge and clarity. All the qualities of it start to manifest. But pure consciousness by itself only on realization.
Janki ji,
Oh yeah, 1 second. How can we be aware of Brahman? Pretty Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. There is no other way to do this. So how do we become aware of Brahman? The desires have to reduce through the processes of Karma, Bhakti, Jnana.
No, Janki ji, I mean between the two thoughts, can we ever be, unless we are a realized soul? A realized soul can be aware?
Oh, the realized soul is always aware. When the thoughts come and go, he doesn't lose track of the Brahman. His condition is very different.
Okay.
His condition is always aware. The coming and going of the waves do not affect his knowledge of Brahman. Our situation is just the opposite.
Okay.
We cannot see Brahman at all.
But can we? Okay. I think I'll think about it. I need to reflect a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Janki ji,
Pravesh?
just
One
one
second,
quick-
Omkar, I'm coming to you. Pravesh?
No, relevant
Hari
to
Om
the
Janki
question she
ji.
asked.
Okay, go ahead.
So Brahman and realized soul, are we differentiating? Isn't a realized soul Brahman?
Yes.
Because to me it sounded like the two are different.
The two are different only because, see, any way you put anything, it is an incorrect or an incomplete way. The realized soul, since you're making him a realized person, is someone who's aware of his identity as Brahman. Okay? As long as we're talking from here. Because you're saying there is someone. But if we're talking from the fourth plane of consciousness, then there is no one, in which case there's only Brahman. But here we are talking from, right? In which case we take the stance that he's aware of his identity as Brahman. It's a very common thing that we keep mixing up third level and fourth level. When you're talking from here, there is someone awareing Brahman, even though it is not an objective knowledge. But when you're talking from the fourth plane, there is no one, so there's no one awareing. Not clear?
Clear. Thank you so much.
Aya Pravesh.
Hari Om Janki ji. Ma'am, as you said that frequency of thought is too fast, and it is so fast that we won't be able to see the Brahman. Like if this frequency get reduced, means the thoughts that are coming in the mind that reduced, and let us suppose it is reduced to zero, means there is no thought. It means it is the state of samadhi or meditation.
Yes.
self-realized person.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
But it is not something that you sit down, slow down your thoughts, and you're in samadhi. It's not like that. Samadhi is a state which is either there or it is not there. It's like a light, either on or off. If you manage somehow to put it on, it will never go off again. But until the time that you put it on,
No.
you're still in darkness. Whatever calmness you experience, whatever knowledge you experience, you're still in darkness. So
Ma'am,
yes,
thought is,
theory
yeah,
you're correct.
thought
Theory
is
correct.
also,
Go ahead.
ma'am, thought is also necessary to connect with the higher level. Means if we do not have thought, then how will be able to connect towards means meditation? How we will go through that process?
How we go through meditation, we're about to do. Now we're only establishing that we have mind and intellect. We're at a very basic level. And what does the mind do? What does the intellect do? That's all we are currently doing.
Okay.
Okay, so what is the technique? We'll come to it.
Sure.
Yes, Kalyan. You are muted, Kalyan.
In the paragraph which we had completed last time, it says that the rapid movement of thought through the light of consciousness, the self creates the solid, substantial world. It's the same thing what I think Pravesh and Momita was asking. So suppose we slow down these thoughts through things like breathing exercises, which everybody keeps talking about, then that's also a way, why go through all the karma, bhakti yoga, all that stuff.
Yeah, okay, try it. And then come back and tell us what happened. You can't do this. Is what Ramatirtha refers to as cleaning the river. You know that example of the moss and the lake? You're familiar with it? Ramatirtha gives this example that there's a lake, it's full of moss. You can plunge your hand into that moss and push that moss aside. And for a very brief second, you will glance at your reflection, but the moss will close up again. That's no way to do it. Because all these methods, do pranayam, do meditation, what is being sort of popped all around the place, gives you for a brief second something. But the Gita is very clear about this. Yat gatva na nivartante tat dhama paramam mama. Where having gone, yat gatva, having gone, it's a twanta ending. Yat gatva, having gone, na nivartante. Na nivartante, there is no return. Tat dhama, that place is mine. That means what is the state of self-realization? It is the state which having got, you cannot lose. You cannot say, I had darshan of the Lord. कल रात मैंने भगवान का दर्शन किया, तो अभी क्या कर रहे हो? अभी मैं breakfast खा रहा हूँ. That doesn't work. If you have had true darshan, it's a permanent state.
No, the end state that it will be permanent is a given. Yeah, that's true. But to get there, the techniques of karma bhakti yoga, can they be supplemented by these techniques of meditation, of breathing, etc.? Or it just this is the path? It's sequential, or it can be complemented, supplemented by these.
Pranayam is a very useful thing. If you do your pranayam properly, you will have good strength in your lungs. And you want good strength in your lungs, so please do pranayam.
No, not for strength in the lungs. It is for...
No, what else do you expect will happen out of it? What causal relationships are we seeing with it?
Because it slows down the flow of thoughts, which reduces that substantial world, and I can see those spaces which you're talking about.
No, you don't see the spaces, you see only manifestation. You only see a brief glimpse, you only see an expression. You feel that temporary calmness. Nobody's against temporary calmness, okay? We all need temporary calmness also. It's not like you only want permanent and you don't want any temporary. So it's fine to do all these things. But you should not attribute to them more then they are capable of doing. Even when you do pranayama, the peace that you will experience, why will you experience? You're focusing on your breath. So you, as it is, cut the speed of your thoughts. The calmness which you experience will be the calmness you're capable of experiencing. Remember that if you are at 60% of desires, you're not capable of experiencing calmness lower than this. If you want more calmness, you'll have to go to 50%. Your evolution will determine the degree of calmness you experience. Now, the problem in this theory is that how will you know that you could be calmer? Because you never experienced this. So there's no way you're going to know. You're going to think, oh, this is fantastic. So in the scriptures, very interestingly, they say there is all these heavens you go to. Okay, and the highest heaven is Brahma's heaven. Where it is like 3.6 billion times better than whatever we have over here. And they say if you go there, you're wasting your time. Because you can be with Brahman. Get it? You could have infinite happiness, but you chose only 3.6 billion more than what is there. So you're wasting your time. So we do not understand calmness until we have evolution. But we do experience the calmness that we are at this moment capable of. But that's just an experience of what you're capable of. How is that helping you go any further?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Oops. The name is Sanjay Sen, but the person is Arun Sehgal. So now what shall I say?
Arun Sehgal.
Arun Sehgal, okay.
Sanjay is sitting next to me.
Okay, he's faded out, so we can't see him.
Yeah. So, Janki ji, I know you
How come you
probably...
guys are together?
They're partying. They're about to go for a party, and now
No, we are
start with this.
in Dehradun, in Sanjay's house in Dehradun.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Why didn't you call us also? We would have also come.
Yeah.
In Dehradun, Sanjay.
There is Ram Tirth Ashram very close to where Sanjay
how
lives.
nice.
So we'll probably go for a walk tomorrow morning. So Janki, you probably have answered this, but I'll still ask that question. Is when you get into meditation, and then you have thought silence, and in silence is Brahman. But when in meditation, your thoughts get slower because you have fewer thoughts, very few thoughts. And therefore that space of silence starts getting expanded. Now, is this not the experience of Brahman? Or you get flashes of Brahman?
Nothing.
So what are those flashes in silence? You have silence and you have absolute feeling of blissful. You're blissful. What is that?
It's blissful. It's the mind. Bliss is an emotion. It's from the mind.
But that bliss is not an experience, a subjective experience.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Unless you have it permanent, it is not the final thing.
Okay, so those are not flashes of consciousness of Brahman, that in between that silence. So you keep going through that, and thoughts keep reducing, and then you get to a point when the last thought drops. So that's the only point when you experience.
Yes.
So you either experience or you don't experience. It's
absolutely. It's a light switch, either on or off. There is no degrees in this. It's a difference of kind, not a degree.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
May I say something, Janki? Because the way Arun described meditation was saying that it's totally the opposite of me. Because as you said, it depends on how calm you are or how your mind is, where you're at. Just trying to, even when I'm meditating, my thoughts sometimes are more frequent than if I wasn't meditating, or I do not feel calm. So it's not the it's really based, as you were saying, upon you, and till you get it, you don't get it. It can, one day I might have a good meditation session, depending on where I was at. I was maybe calm to start with anyway.
Yes. So anyway, he was not referring to himself. He's only talking about the state of meditation. He's saying this is what happens there, and that peace which you're experiencing during meditation, which we all accept, right? I mean, as a matter of fact, that you will experience at some point or the other, some peace or the other. So is that Brahman? No, not yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it not the reflected consciousness?
Yes,
the
it
peace?
is reflected consciousness. Every thought is reflected consciousness. In the silence and the thought are both reflected consciousness. Because we just don't know pure consciousness. It's impossible. What is that state? It is the state where you are in connection with reality. Reality is defined as something that lasts. Okay, suppose today I ask you what is your name, you say Deepak. Next day you say Naeem. Third day you say Jayashree. Then I say, what is your real name? Meaning, what is the lasting name? Right? So real means what lasts. So to know reality means to never move from it. Everything else is impermanent and unreal. And therefore they call it mithya. In the sense, don't even bother about it. If it's not going to last, why are you spending your time and energy on this thing? But then people say, they don't recognize from what level the master is speaking about these things. So when he says stuff like that, we say, oh, how can you say the world is illusion? It's not like that. It's in the sense like, don't give it excessive importance. That's what it means. When something is not going to last, now you give it as much importance as its lasting capacity, right?
But Janki-ji, senses are always running outside, which attaches to this world.
The senses do not attach to the world. The senses are inanimate. What attaches to the world is the mind. The senses are automatic. If you open your eyes, you'll see stuff. You will hear stuff. You will smell stuff. They are automatic processes. When the mind goes outside with these senses, that's when the trouble starts. When the intellect directs the senses, that's when the solution starts. Now, you have to use your senses. There is no option. Like how you can't keep, all five senses closed and move around. Neither can you just sit in one spot because, one ant will come and bite you. And then if you don't move, then what will happen? That ant will go and tell all its friends, come, buffet is served. We'll all go and have a good buffet over there. So it will come with all its friends and keep biting and biting. So you have no option to sit still. So you have to move. If you move, your senses are in operation. So this is like a no-sum game. But when the mind goes behind these senses, oh, wow, I love this. I'm going to get so much joy out of it. Mind goes, trouble. Intellect directs these senses so that we reach some specific goals, some higher values, the greater truths. Then we are the solution. Okay? Momita. If we have an experience of peace during meditation and we attribute that to a genuine experience that masters refer to, we are deluding ourselves. By genuine experience, you mean realization? Then yes, we are deluding ourselves. By genuine experience, you can also mean that you experience peace, in which case, what's the delusion? You experience peace. So if you by genuine experience, you mean realization, then that statement holds. Also going in the wrong direction because we are in the realm of the mind at all times. We are going in the wrong direction because when we do these extraordinary things, we stand the danger of what should I say? Of the mind snapping. It's not just that, oh, people say, the Gita says, before you've controlled your senses, do not meditate. It is very clear about that. So why such strict instructions not to meditate? Because the mind can actually collapse under that strain. The mind, think of the mind, okay? The mind is full of thoughts. These thoughts are running helter-skelter. And out of sheer brute force, you hold it. You hold it, so you experience calmness. When you experience calmness, you say, this is fantastic, I'm going to do it again. But your holding capacity is going to be restricted because the thoughts are so many. So what happens eventually is you create a pressure cooker situation within yourself and then it bursts. It's like there's no CT only on that pressure. I mean, the CT is not rising. Whole thing will burst. So the danger is not that we are in the realm of the mind at all times. The danger is that we are going to ruin the mind. That's the big danger.
I mean, we are still only experiencing that relative happiness.
Yes.
So, but that we are confusing to some kind of touch with consciousness. So,
Yes.
isn't that dangerous?
It is dangerous because it will damage the mind. Because you're doing something extraordinary, right? It's like your body is capable of picking up a certain weight. But for whatever reason, you're trying to do 3 times, 4 times, 5 times that amount. So once you're able to do it, because, just with will and grit to do it, then you keep doing it, then you reach a stage where your back will not take this anymore. It will just collapse. Or whichever weak thing will collapse.
Also, we are using matter and we are not approaching spirit in any way.
That
The mind, no? Like in meditation.
Causing the damage, you must understand. See, you're saying we are going in the wrong direction because we're in the realm of the mind at all times. That we are anyway. Meditation is much worse. Because it will cause damage. Suppose you're functioning on the mind, you'll get agitated, you get angry, you get so many things. If you're meditating, you'll go into hallucinations, you'll go into mental issues. So it's like a stage much worse. And if you don't believe me, you talk to people who are meditating, you'll feel that is this person there or not? Like, koi ghar mein hai kya? Literally you'll feel like.
But then actually people are treating mental health disorders. They are experimenting with using drugs and all to give them these experiences of very little thought and all, so that they understand what it is to have fewer thoughts and how much more relieving it is. So, isn't that also a misuse of?
I have not studied that deeply, but it seems that you shouldn't do abnormal or extraordinary things.
Yeah, because it sounds like you're reducing consciousness instead of enhancing it when you're taking drugs.
Yes, but there is no such thing as reducing consciousness or enhancing it. It is by taking drugs, you are not applying your intellect enough. But on the other hand, when there is a mental issue, it is better to take the drug than not take the drug. Because it's like I have got tuberculosis, so I have to take the medicine to cure myself. But if I take a painkiller, okay, because of pain I'm in, then that is not helping my situation. It is the drug for the tuberculosis that is helping the situation. The painkiller is just keeping me comfortable in the meal. So be very careful about mental issues, because there are two types of mental issues. There's one which is like all of us have, normal wale. And then there are the clinical ones. Clinical ones require medication, because it's just like the body is diseased, the mind is diseased. So it needs a medicine to get out of that disease, which is different from the mind being out of the control and the intellect being unable to control it. They're two separate issues.
Okay.
Like if you had fever, nobody will tell you control your mind, right? You take a crocin.
Yes.
So similarly, mental issues. So they're two different things that we should be clear about.
Thank you.
Janki ji, so you're saying that I'm sorry that I just wanted to get it one thing. So the Bhagavad Gita says that we should not meditate, and so until what
You
stage?
sense control, yeah. You
Until
look at the Gita, whenever he mentions meditation, the previous verse will talk about self-control. You'll read any place where there's meditation. In the chapter on meditation, there is so much on mind control. It's like more on being in control of your mind than on meditation. Meditation is a few verses. Everything else is about how you're controlling your senses, how you're controlling your mind. Read it yourself.
Thank you. Thank you.
And of course, in class, I also often show you all, right? Every time it comes up, I show you. See it, or what is it saying here? And yet the whole world believes India teaches meditation. मैं क्या बोलूं? Go open the text, read it yourself. If you can't read Sanskrit, then read English translation. Now, shall we continue? The only point I was trying to make is there is a mind. Human beings have an intellect, and that places us at the top of all creation. Amongst human beings also, it places us on top of creation, because those who apply their intellect, that means who recognize choices, are in a better position to handle their lives than those people who believe that there is no choice. There can be situations where you are caught in a difficult position. ये side भी दीवार है, ये side भी दीवार है. It's possible. But please understand, middle is all empty. You have so many choices in the middle. So you're never devoid of choice. And some choices are taken away from you because of what you have done in the past. Some choices. But some choices are always left with you, because you still can choose what you want to do about it too. See, in the past, suppose I had a child. Now, do I have the possibility of not being a parent? That choice has gone from me. But does it mean every choice has gone from me? No, I still have many choices. So similarly, because of past actions, some choices you cannot make, but you still have choice left with you. When you're able to recognize this, that means intellect has started coming into action. When you're able to execute it, that means intellect is strong enough to execute these things. Right? So you have an intellect. Intellect are of two types, gross intellect and subtle intellect. Gross intellect means what? Intellect is discrimination. Gross discrimination is the discrimination that happens within the realm of the world. Subtle intellect is discrimination that happens between the world and something beyond the world. Two types of intellect. What else do you have? You have a mind. What is this mind? It is a flow of thoughts. Oh, Mahesh. Yes, Mahesh.
Yeah, this is something you had mentioned to me previously, but I just forgot the explanation. So Swamiji has said that this discrimination that we talk about of the intellect, it includes the control of the mind, right? So just could you explain how that discrimination and control of the mind are linked?
It's not linked, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, how is that?
Suppose I give you, you love pasta, right? Suppose I give you pasta and that pasta has cyanide in it. Will you eat that pasta?
No? If I know
Why
about
not?
it, of course. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, if you know
If I
about
know.
it, will you have it? Why won't you
Yeah.
have it? Will you be tempted? Will you say, okay, little bit I'll have? Your own likes and dislikes. You like the pasta very much, but you now understand there's cyanide in it. Discrimination will close down your mind completely. And if you say, no, little bit at least let me have, I'm so tempted to have, discrimination has failed you. So when you don't execute what you don't know, it is because your discrimination is not strong enough. If you understood what you're saying, there is no way that you'll do something else. For instance, suppose you go to the shop. The shopkeeper tells you this object is for 90 rupees. You give him a note of 100 rupees. You will take the 10 rupees back, no? Discrimination works. When your discrimination doesn't work, like a child. The child will say, how much? 90 rupees. That child doesn't understand 90 and 100. So the shopkeeper says, ho gaya. Go away. Because discrimination doesn't work. So discrimination and control of the mind is the same thing. If the mind is not controlled, it means discrimination is not there.
No, so in the case of a brilliant scientist, they might be brilliant in a particular area of science. I mean, Nobel Prize winners. But Swamiji has talked about one incident where the person was an alcoholic because so his wife caught him to Swamiji because she said that this guy is a brilliant scientist, but he cannot control his alcohol. So we have excellent discrimination in the area of science, but we have low discrimination in the area of control. So I just thought those were
No. Listen to what you're saying. Whereas discrimination is complete, his mind control is complete. Like in his scientific realm, he will not do mind-related things. Means he will not do ignorant, stupid things, right? If he knows that this chemical put into this chemical will give this reaction, and that's the reaction he wants, he will do it. And if that's not the reaction he wants, then he won't do it. In the field of his discrimination, he will not have a problem controlling the mind. But he doesn't have universal discrimination. He has it only in that field.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Deepraj.
So you said subtle intellect discriminates between the terrestrial and the transcendental. But how can a limited equipment do that? Because it has no concept of the transcendental.
It's not that it doesn't have a concept of transcendental. If you don't have a concept, then how will you associate with this whole field? You have some concept. But subtle intellect doesn't assert what it is. It merely negates the word. You don't know what that thing is, but you know that this is not it, this is not it, this is not it. That is what the subtle intellect is doing. That it's there, you know, it's like compass. This is not it. It is there. What is that there? Nobody knows.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So who will read the next paragraph? You think we should stop calling these classes and start calling them Q&A sessions, because people will say, "Bola to class or hai sirf Q&A."
May I, Janki?
Yes,
But
please.
जानकी जब Q&A होगा तब लोग कोई बोलेंगे नहीं, then it become a class. When you say ask a question, everybody will keep quiet. Then you say let's just read.
What?
I said if we had a Q&A class and you were to ask some people any questions, everybody will keep quiet.
No.
And then you will say, okay, let's just read. That will become the class.
Correct. When we ask, they say, okay, Bharat says, okay, chapter is over, let's have Q&A, not a soul as a question.
Exactly.
Yes, correct. Okay, go ahead, Naeem.
The mind of the present generation is in a chaotic state. People's thoughts run widely in all directions, seeking material gain and sensual pleasure, which causes the mind to be agitated. An agitated mind cannot concentrate, much less meditate. The strategy of meditation is to converge the mind to single thought and ultimately annul it. The practice of meditation, therefore, requires a mind free from the pressures of extroverted pursuits. A mind that remains calm, composed, and has turned introvert. One attains that state through sustained physical, mental, and intellectual disciplines by practicing karma, bhakti, and jnana yogas, the path of action, devotion, and knowledge. A mind thus turned introvert is made to chant a mantra, a word symbol representing the supreme God, Brahman. The chant is known as japa. You could choose a mantra that inspires you most. In japa, the mind repeats the mantra. The intellect observes, witnesses the single thought flow. During the chant, the mind may slip into other thoughts. It has the tendency to wander away. The intellect is employed to pull the mind back to the chosen line of thought. Thus, by repeated effort, the mind is kept focused on the chant. So the author is saying that the current generation has their thoughts scattered in all directions. They are not ready to concentrate, leave alone meditate. We have to turn the mind introvert by the three disciplines of karma, bhakti, and jnana. The way to meditate is to focus on a single chant, word symbol, during the japa. The mind has a tendency to slip into other thoughts, but the intellect is employed to pull it back. Thus, by repeated effort, the mind is kept focused on the chant.
Very good. One important point also, 9, is that what kind of mantra should you have?
One that inspires you.
One that inspires you, very important thing. You know why? Because everyone says this is a mantra and that is not a mantra. There's no such thing. A mantra is what inspires you. If you think table inspires you, then that is your mantra. You don't need any special mantra. Many people have this belief of special mantras or some kind. Mantra comes from the Sanskrit mana trayate iti mantra. What protects your mind is your mantra. What protects your mind is your inspiration with the high. So whatever inspires you. That is why Hindus can have 33 crore gods. Because koi bhi chalega. You can use any god of your choice. That is why there is no concept of conversion. Because koi bhi chalega. In fact, Hindus are the best converters. You know, we say we don't convert people to our religion. That's not true. Hindus are right, left, and center converting people. You know how? They convert the God only. If you say Christ, avatar of Vishnu, chalo tum log sab Hindu ban gaye. Anyone you find catch hold of Buddha, avatar of Vishnu, chalo sab Hindu ban gaye. So we are masters in this game, I think. We don't do 1-1 conversion. We'll convert your God only. So why is that? Because it doesn't matter who you worship. What matters is the worship. The fact that you are inspired by something. Yes, Deepraj, we are very subtle. We play 4D chess. Protect your mind as in turn it inward. Mamita, protect your mind is always keeping you calm. Protect your mind means protect it from mental agitation. The way it's done is turned introvert, but your protection of your mind is that it is a sound mind. Sound mind means it is less and less battered by things in this world. Today, all our minds get battered. Okay, husband says something rude. You know, my mind is battered. Child doesn't listen to me, my mind is battered. Weather is hot, my mind is better. Modi comes, Modi doesn't come, my mind is better. If he comes or doesn't come, why is my mind better? His mind should be better. He is sitting quietly in his meditation, and unnecessarily I'm getting battered. So, protecting my mind means it's not letting the mind get agitated. When the mind is focused on the higher, it doesn't have the time and inclination to get agitated. So, Naim, correct all your points that today's mind is in a chaotic state. Such a mind cannot concentrate. I mean, how many people through this 1 hour of class, with all the thoughts and questions and this and that, how many people were here completely for 1 full hour? Just completely here. And if we can't do this, where is the question of meditation? You know, in the modern universities, in Western universities, they reduce class time to 20 minutes. They say nobody concentrates beyond that. We are still keeping up with 1 hour. Lots of people say, why do you talk? Nobody is listening, which is also true. But hopefully, through the study of Vedanta, our discrimination, our concentration, all of this is going to improve so that we can actually concentrate for 1 hour. You'll see the results of sadhana. Okay.
Janki ji,
Mhm.
the first line says present generation, the mind of the present generation. I mean, that means in past generation it wasn't the problem.
Present is always present. Any century you read this book and it will continue to say the same thing. The Upanishads also say it. The Gita also says it. Vedanta Treatise also says that every generation is the present generation. These are just the laws of life. Nobody has a mind that is calm. I mean, when it's calm, not because anything is okay around, calm because that's its nature. So, okay, so